Hello, I'm Jonasz Rewiński and you're watching TVP World Talks, where every word matters. If Europe is to survive, it needs to be armed, said Poland's Prime Minister Donald Tusk during a debate at the European Parliament, endorsing Trump's recent call for a NATO minimum spending threshold hike to 5%, a level well within Poland's reach but seemingly nebulous to many powerful Western European economies. His call for action coincided with Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelenskyy's words, suggesting a 200,000-strong force of European troops would be needed to maintain a possible truce between Ukraine and belligerent Russia. So will the words of the two leaders resonate with the European political establishment? Is Europe ready to rise up to the challenge? Joining us now is Magdalena Jakubowska, Vice President at the Publica Foundation. Hello and welcome to TVP World.
Good morning. Good morning, Jonasz.
So let's begin by asking the fundamental question. How was Prime Minister Donald Tusk's speech received at the European Parliament when it comes to security issues?
Well, security is the key word and the key priority overall in all its aspects for Polish presidency. This is an opening presidency of the new trio, but also of the new institutional cycle in the EU. It needed, and the speech of Mr. Tusk has been the one to kind of guide, to make some guidance for the rest of the upcoming 4 or 5 years. And Mr. Tusk's speech met the expectations, and I think it was necessary to say all these important words about our future security in Europe. This, that we should count on ourselves, that we should strive to make Europe secure with our own hands. And I think it was very well said, very convincing, and I'm pretty sure that, of course, there were voices of criticism, but still, I think that's something that we agree on every side of political spectrum in the EU Parliament, but also in member states, is that security of Europe, of all its member states, and also of the members of the future member states, is the key priority for now.
Do you think that it also adds credibility to this call for action that Poland is about to reach this threshold already?
Well, Poland has 4.5% GDP now. It will be, of course, growing, but not spectacularly any longer. Of course, it is important that we set some kind of example. We are a role model for the rest of the EU, but all the and for the whole NATO. And I think that this is important that we are there. Poland is meeting this. So that Poland is saying this and encouraging other countries to also meet higher thresholds. Is of course quite viable, but we must remember that Poland has also another argument, being the key country on the eastern flank, on the border to Ukraine, where war is happening on an everyday basis.
Speaking of border security, there was some criticism addressed at Prime Minister Donald Tusk from the left side of the spectrum, with some MEPs saying that we need to engage with transit countries. How do you engage, for example, with Belarus, which has instrumentalized migration to achieve its objectives, its own objectives and those of Russia?
You don't. I mean, this criticism is not granted. I mean, you cannot make deals with countries that are not in our own value system, and Belarus is one of those. Of course, human rights and migrants' rights of course, we have to deal with that, and there are certain rules that we have to meet. But we are unable, and we won't be making deals. It's a hybrid war that that Belarus or Russia are dragging us, Poland, but EU or NATO countries into, and we cannot allow any. I mean, like, there's no room for any maneuver here. Either it ends or not.
So what about European security in general? Donald Tusk said, and I quote, "Party's over," encouraging Europe to get out of this comfort zone. But do you think there might be resistance further along the way in Western European countries where people have grown very used to those little luxuries, welfare programs and all that? Some of that would have to disappear in order to facilitate defense spending. Do you think that right now leaders will say, yeah, we're going to do that, but later on this is going to grind to a better halt on a consultation level in individual countries, for example?
Well, of course, Europe is used to some kind of world order where the peace is there. We only grow our welfare. And of course, we need to put an end to that thinking. You have to win elections on promising that this European well-being of its citizens will stay, and it's possible also with higher defense spending. European economies need some new promises, some new vibe in its development, and this is how we can kind of combine this economic security with hard security.
Now, what do you think about Donald Trump's latest move when it comes to Russia? It seems that the Russian leadership is going to get some bad vibes out of this recent announcement with promises of further sanctions if Russia doesn't sit down and negotiate.
Well, Mr. Putin has never said that he is eager to sit down at the talks. He's playing in those negotiations in this game, and he's playing hard. Donald Trump is kind of compulsively trying to make him sit at the table, and this is visible with this statement. I think this is, but on the other hand, there are no other ways to make Mr. Putin sit at the table, of the negotiation table. The economy in Russia is at the very moment booming. It will pass the red line very soon, but still there are some banking system problems. But on the other hand, it's so in such a speed of arming the military that Mr. Putin has no specific reason to sit down to the negotiation table. And there, Mr. Trump, who is called, well, his words are held that he will introduce peace and make Mr. Putin sit on the negotiations with Mr. Zelenskyy. Is now kind of a main priority for Trump to kind of make decisions in the world order. So I don't think exactly that threatening Mr. Putin is the only way to that. But this is a game, and this is a kind of gambling that has to be made.
So let's assume that the gamble pays off and we have a truce. President Zelenskyy indicated that we would need a massive force of presumably European soldiers to keep this peace in place. Do you think that Europe, again, will be willing and able to make the sacrifice, sending 200,000 people, even if they are just supposed to guard the border and not become engaged in any skirmishes? That is still a substantial commitment.
Well, we must say that this is not the border of EU, of Europe, but this is a border on the territories of Ukraine that were annexed by Russians. So this is well well distant from Europe. Those soldiers would need to go to the mainland of Ukraine, where kind of some of their security, especially of those countries that Russia is not aligned with, would be in threat. So I think that we should think a little more strategically how this commitment from Europe is expected to be executed at the battlefield. I think that well, the need for numbers of soldiers, of those in the battlefield, is huge, and this is what Zelensky wants to say. His own army is at the exhaustion point where he might be well, it might be very difficult for Zelensky to keep going with the war. I think that maybe Europe should at least make a commitment that it will look into that matter, and that it will try to at least collect some of the declarations among the EU countries.
And just
This
for the
is-
sake of clarity, we're talking about soldiers in the future demilitarized zone, not a combat engagement, but peacekeeping, but still, as we've said, a substantial commitment on the part of Europe. Magdalena Jakubowska was our guest today here on TVP World. Thank you very much for joining us and for sharing your insight.
Thank you.
And I'm Jonasz Rewiński. You're watching TVP World. Please stay with us for more latest news and features.